Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Red-Rupee Cast featuring Dawn of War 2 Retribution. Red-Rupee here with you as always, casting some matches here. Before I get this one started, I wanted to point out that 3.18 is out now, for those of you who weren't aware. And I don't know if all of you understand what that means for me. I sure do. It means all of my replays don't work anymore. So what I need is new replays. I want some new submissions from all my subscribers and various other viewers out there. Feel free to send me some replays. I've got my email on my channel page right there, so just look down if you're there to the bottom left and you can send me any kind of replay you want. Solo, 2v2, 3v3, pro, intermediate, newbie game. I want to do them all, so let me know. And of course, as many of you are probably aware, I am a fledgling caster, so I'm still trying to get all this down. Send me some feedback. Let me know. There's been a few comments that have been letting me know, what people like, what people don't like. I want feedback. Let me know how I can make these episodes better for you guys. So send me your replays, leave some comments, and of course, if you like the cast, feel free to subscribe so you can keep up to date with anything new I release. And other than that, let's go ahead and take a look at our game here. We're going to go ahead and check out the players. We got Soul Harvest as our Warp Spider Exarch, and we have Rise over here as our Chaos Lord. You can see his heretics already getting ready to go into worship there. Taking a look at the map at Calderis, we've of course got the Pit of Death, which I love ever so much. And this map, though it appears that the victory points on the minimap, you can see the 3 victory points look nice and close together, but of course they're actually quite spread out due to the fact that from the middle you have to go all the way up and around the opponent's victory point to get up to that. And the map's just very spread out in general, so the Warp Spider Exarch should have a pretty good advantage here. There's no real epicenter of resource points like you see on Quest Heresy or Outer Reaches, Leviathan Hive, along those lines. It's just very spread out, very all open area, so let's go ahead and get this one started and see how this one plays out. This will be our first match for both races actually in 3.18, so hopefully we'll see some new stuff coming into play here. Of course, as I was saying, you'll see this Warp Spider can ignore all the extra terrain, and he'll just be able to jump right back and forth between these 3 points, and around to the various exterior ones as well, to go ahead and get early map control, I'm sure. Soul Harvest getting 2 Guardians right quick, and apparently holding out before his third, maybe going to build a power node or something really quickly before he gets his third squad. And Rise getting a squad of Chaos Tactical Marines and a second squad of Heretics. Heretics very effective against Eldar. They can keep the Banshees at bay. And if you see the good old triple Guardian build, you've got grenades to deal with that or Shuriken platforms. So either way, double Heretics, a pretty solid build. And we can see the Chaos Lord rolling in here into the center point. Doesn't want that Warp Spider to hold the VPs. You gotta be very aware of the map control against Eldar, especially with a Warp Spider. There he goes in a whiff of blue smoke. Not wanting to fight, just wanting to take control of the map. Meanwhile, the Chaos Space Marines scare off the Guardians without much issue. They're gonna go ahead and start messing with the economy here and backcap these natural requisition points. Of course, Soul Harvest is just gonna skip his part of the map and go ahead on to his own and start harassing these heretics. The Warp Spider is very effective at getting in the face of all these heretics. You can see he can just go in and with his pretty high burst DPS can do some pretty solid damage there. Already dropping 4 members, or 3, and then 1 exploded, of course, right on top of those Guardians, forcing them off the map. Soul Harvest finally opting to get himself a squad of Banshees and dropping a power generator for both players, so pretty even so far. You can see that Rise has actually managed to cap Soul Harvest's natural requisition point and sees the Banshees, decides to get out of there really quickly, doesn't want to lose any tactical models, very expensive to reinforce, of course. And other than that, just looking pretty good for Rise right now, having some pretty solid map control. Managed to get the center back from Soul Harvest. And Soul Harvest being a little late with his Banshees, I'm not sure why he chose to opt so slowly to get his starting squad. He didn't fill up his power farm immediately. There he goes with that finally, but that's normally why you would hold off on getting a third squad, is to get the power generators up quickly. Perhaps it was just a slip of his micro, or he was waiting to see what the opponent built before he chose his third squad. But as you can see, that caused the map to ultimately be pretty blue. Anyways, the Banshees moved right in on Ryze's power down here, but they do have Chaos Marines and a squad of Heretics moving in. I don't think they're going to be able to get this node down in time, unfortunately. Here they go. I'm not sure if they're going to get out of there before the Doom Blast, but they scream and escape with no harm done. No members lost. Pretty good play. Managed to take that node down pretty far. Next time he comes around, I'm sure he'll be able to destroy it. And meanwhile, of course, we've got the Warp Spider and the Guardians moving up to try to defend his own power, which is under assault from a squad of Heretics. Ryze deciding to return the favor of the attempted power bash right there. Two squad of Guardians, both now upgraded with their battle equipment upgrade, of course, giving them their energy shields, grenades, and fleet of foot, making them a much more versatile squad with a very low cost upgrade. Chaos Lord is getting very low, though. He's going to try to capture this point, but I'm not sure it's going to be worth it. Chaos Tacticals moving in and going to go ahead and melee those Guardians to get the DPS off of him, but he's very low. Down to 15, 10 HP, 9. Don't think he's going to... Oh, and the Noise Marines are on the field, spraying their blasters right into the face of those Guardians and just barely saving the Chaos Lord at the last second. You can see he was down there. A cacophonous sound, knocking those Banshees back, but a grenade bought them a little bit of time and took out a member. Excellent play by Soul Harvest. The grenade during that cacophonous sound managed to prevent a lot of DPS to his Banshees because the Chaos Marines had to evade. Even if they hadn't lost a member, that would have been very useful in solely keeping those Banshees alive, which are very expensive to reinforce. And a good counter push by Soul Harvest right there to take back his side of the map. Unfortunately, Heretics are moving around and taking back the Requisition. Requisition very much in Ryze's favor so far this game, despite the Warp Spider's normal map control. A good dodge of that Guardian grenade right there. Those Heretics are going to have to get out of there because there's a second squad backing up the first. Warp Spider going to try to go ahead and take out a couple of models on retreat. But looks like they're resilient. They're going to go ahead and march on through there. Banshees on the other side of the map. You can see both players now moving into Tier 2. Banshees rushing in at some Heretics. Probably not a good idea. Doom Blast will really hurt those Banshees and probably won't let them win the engagement at this point in the game. But all in all, it looks like Soul Harvest is trying to keep those VPs evened out while going into Tier 2. You got to be very careful at this point. Ryze does have a bigger force on the field, and I'm sure there will be looking at the resources. It looks like he'll probably be able to get a Blood Crusher on the field before too terribly long. And Soul Harvest is going to have to figure out how to deal with that. Meanwhile, with these Noise Marines on the field, it looks like they're going to go ahead and move up on his power. You can see they received quite a range increase during this most recent patch. A lot of people not sure if they like that or not yet, but the patch is here, so you gotta deal with it and adapt your play around the new game changes. That's what I say. Nothing's OP, the game is the game, and we gotta learn to deal with it as it is. You can see power is gonna go down very quickly to them, especially you can see how far they're blasting that away from. Banshee's moving in now. But a Heretic squad with an aspiring champion is on them. They're going to have to be very careful. They need an excellent knockback attack. You can see he was gunning for those Noise Marines, but just couldn't risk it with that upgraded Heretic squad nearby. Meanwhile, Ryze is managing to get the last victory point down. Only a squad of Guardians for Soul Harvest on the field right now. I'm pretty sure that Chaos Lord is going to be able to deal with them without much issue. Oh, and Heretics coming in from the south, a Doom Blast forcing them right off the field. They do have their Warlock now, but even that will not contend with the likes of Heretics and a Chaos Lord. So it looks like leaders on all three of Soul Harvest squads. And ultimately, here comes the Blood Crusher. Soul Harvest having a bit of a problem with his power right now. Pretty low on his power income. Gonna have to find something to deal with this Blood Crusher coming onto the field. A Shuriken Cannon. Not sure if that's the best bet right now. He's got to figure out something to deal with the Blood Crusher. I'm sure he knows that's coming at this point. He's tier 2, so he should know that his opponent's tier 2. Those Noise Marines just barely getting out of there with 1 HP. The Banshee's getting suppressed by 2 Doom Blasts, and the Noise Marines do escape just barely. Guardians looked like they tried to throw a grenade there, but got knocked back by the Chaos Lord. They did throw it a bit too late, unfortunately, and excellent work by Rise to keep his Noise Marines there alive. That's twice he's escaped very narrowly, once with his Chaos Lord, once with his Noise Marines. And in a very unfortunate situation right now with a Blood Crusher charging onto the field, and Soul Harvest Generator Farm is ultimately down. A Shuriken Cannon's on the field to probably help deal with these heretics, but unfortunately with a Blood Crusher coming in, there's really not much they're going to be able to do against that. I really think he probably should have considered an AV option instead. Probably could have tried to get some Warp Spiders. He's got plenty of requisition. Warp Spiders don't cost too much more power than a Shuriken Cannon does, and I think that would have been a much better investment. With the Warp Spiders and Banshees, they could easily have dealt with this Blood Crusher. You can see the map primarily still staying in Rise's control. Soul Harvest now down to just 1 victory point and 2 requisition points. Warp Spider is of course going around and trying to get some map control and capture those back, buying some time as quickly as he can. You can see 2 Guardian squads coming in to reinforce him as he warps out and leaves the Noise Marines a bit confused as to what to shoot at now. An excellent knockback by the Blood Crusher charge, knocking those Guardians back into all the heretics that are moving in. But excellent covering fire from the Shuriken Cannon. Unfortunately, he needs to get the heck out of there as the Demon Blood Crusher is moving in on them, and there's really nothing that setup team can do against that. Soul Harvest now getting himself a squad of Warp Spiders, used his global call-in on that, so that cost him no power but a little red. And really, I think a great investment right now. The Haywire Grenade will, of course, help deal with the Bloodletter, and their burst DPS and maneuverability will certainly keep down the heretics just as well as a Shuriken Cannon would, I believe. Warp Spider looked like he was a little low on energy and not able to get out of there. Soul Harvest now purchasing a Bright Lance team. Gonna call that in from the home world there and use that to help combat with this Blood Crusher demon that is on the field. Meanwhile, the Chaos Lord, you can see he's bought the Armor of the Inferno and the Blood Maul, which will give him the Let the Galaxy Burn ability. Very large scale fire damage over time ability that causes some knockback, and of course the knockback ability that comes with his Blood Maul will also probably be very effective against all the infantry that Soul Harvest has on the field. Rise knows that he's kept down Soul Harvest's power very well and doesn't really need to worry about vehicles, so he's going straight for that Blood Maul, going for some heavy infantry disruption there. And it looks like the Banshees were down bottom, able to capture Rise's power out from under him. The heretics did scare them off, it looks like, but he did get the cap, and at least going to get him a little bit of power. Probably a good move right now. He could have probably maybe destroyed an extra generator or 2 instead of capping, but ultimately he needed the power very badly right now, so he just decided he's going to cap it, not worry much about it. And meanwhile, Soul Harvest has gone ahead and upgraded his Warp Spider squad with Aspect and a Warp Spider Exarch as well. So now he is just spread out across the map, capturing points on all sides. You can see the Blood Crusher is now moving in on this side, but not quite going in yet. He's hesitated. He's not sure what's on the field. You can see his army's very spread out right now, so he doesn't want to send in the Blood Crusher unsupported. A lot of Chaos players tend to do that. They'll get that Blood Crusher right off the bat and send it in unsupported, and it will fall. The Chaos Lord very low. He does go down. Let the Galaxy Burn combined with the Noise Marines did a number on those Banshees, but you can see the flank performed by the Blood Crusher. Probably could have taken out a couple of those Banshees if he had moved but he needs to get on this Bright Lance Cannon right now. There's the Haywire Grenade, a charge with the Blood Crusher trying to get out of there, and the Bright Lance is setting up the wrong direction. It needs to turn around right now to deal with this Blood Crusher. If he can take this out, it'll turn the battle a bit more in his favor if he can drop this. Not sure. Oh, he's retreating the Bright Lance. I'm not sure why he did that. The Blood Crusher was on him, but the Bright Lance is a pretty quick setup squad. It probably could have kited a little bit, and with all these other infantry squads around harassing this Blood Crusher, probably would have been able to do something about that. The Blood Crusher is very low, but we have Heretics moving in. Oh, the Warp Spiders retreated, found themselves a bit out of position with those Heretics. Probably could have moved back into the range of this Shuriken Cannon, really. Didn't probably need to retreat, but they are very expensive, so sometimes in the heat of battle it's tough risk. Tough call to make. See, the Banshees have to fall back because we have some Siege Mark Chaos Space Marines that'll do excellent DPS, and with that on them they won't be able to deal with that Blood Crusher on their own. So Soul Harvest did manage to drop the Chaos Lord Arrives, which he just now bought back, and Soul Harvest still not being able to upgrade his power, really just trying to keep in the game with what he's got at this point. He's got the AV potential to deal with that Blood Crusher. That's really the only thorn in his side right now, I see, with these Warp Spiders, Guardians, and Banshees. He should be able to deal with the Chaos Space Marines and Heretics. But unfortunately, Rise has just done a great job of keeping him in his base and breaking down the setup squads that's composing the AV and suppression. You can see the Worship going up now. Going to try to heal this Blood Crusher up before the next battle comes out. And the Noise Marines and Chaos Lord probably moving back, expecting for another Power Bash. But Soul Harvest isn't going to give it to him because he hasn't yet built any more power. So we can see the two players on either side of the central victory point here. The Warp Spiders and Guardians moving in a bit, finding themselves both out of cover. There goes a shield, that's what I want to see. And these Warp Spiders could really move up to this green cover over here without much issue. They decided instead to take some shelter behind the Eldar energy shield there. And oh, here comes the Chaos Lord and the Noise Marines, moving way around the back here. Probably going to be very disappointed to find that there is in fact no power. You can see Rise has built up the power nodes on all sides, and the Banshee's once again down at the bottom, capturing his power. Soul Harvest has been doing a good job of keeping them over there and constantly harassing the points in the power on his side of the map. But unfortunately, Rise has had power the entirety of the game. You don't want to blob up like this. Oh no, and this is why. There goes the Let the Galaxy Burn. And whenever the Chaos Lord has that armor, you've got to make a conscious effort to keep your army spread out. I know it's difficult. You want to just kind of move them around and have these setup squads together so they can cover each other. But you got to put some space behind your squads there. You're not going to be able to cover anything. You can see the Warp Spider's been doing a great job of teleporting around and decapping the victory points and at least stalling the inevitable drain of those. Rise, of course, having power, has managed to get a Chaos Predator onto the field, so that's going to be, now with two vehicles on the field, pretty difficult for Soul Harvest to deal with when it comes down to it. The Chaos Lord and Noise Marines are way up on Soul Harvest's side of the field, and Soul Harvest still not purchasing himself any power. He did pop a node here to delay the recap, so Rise even owns Soul Harvest's natural power point there, as you can see. The victory points, a bit in Rise's favor here. He's got 300 to about 200 there. Managed to force the Noise Marines off, but they're really kind of a luxury unit to Rise's army right now with the Heretics, the two vehicles, and the Space Marines. He really doesn't need those on the field to deter any of Soul Harvest's units. This Blood Crusher can deal with the suppression well enough on its own. He just has to be very careful around these Warp Spider squads and the Bright Lance Cannon. You can see using the Worship again to get him out of range of that Bright Lance. Another Let the Galaxy Burn, knocking back those Warp Spiders. They're going to get out of there before they take any losses. And he's going to try to move this Bright Lance and Banshees into position to deal with this Blood Crusher. Unfortunately, the Bright Lance isn't setting up. It's moving right in on him. Oh, but they had to retreat. That might have been a mistake, and Micro there might have clicked move instead of attack. Very unfortunate. He probably could have finished off that Blood Crusher right there. And here comes the Chaos Predator. Putting a couple shots into that Warp Spider. I'm not sure if he's going to get out of there. Was back there capping a bit too long. And, oh no! The Chaos Lord grabs him and smashes him right down with that Blood Maul. Says, you're not getting back to base today. Warp Spider's again trying to get over on this power once more. Oh, but warping right into a squad of heretics. Luckily, Rise doesn't see it. Oh, and finding themselves out of position. They're going to have to get out of there right away. The Blood Crusher's between them and their base, though, and there goes the charge, knocking them down right back into that squad of upgraded heretics. They're not... Oh, one member managed to escape. Looks like the Blood Crusher did just use his charge, so it's not going to be able to follow. Very fortunate that Soul Harvest managed to get out of there. Really just a bad, an unfortunate positioning for a warp. Oh, and a Warp Spider dropping to that Chaos Predator blast right there. He's going to try to keep the point, but with this range damage out here, it's not a good idea. That squad's very frail. It can't really tank while it captures, unfortunately. Soul Harvest has has both of his Warp Spider squads on the field now. Really needs to do something about these vehicles. I think if he could solve that problem, he'd be in a pretty good position. 2 Warp Spider squads can make short work of heretics, and the Chaos Marines we can get engaged by the Banshees. He's got a good army composition. He just needs to put it to use right now, and Rise has, of course, upgraded his Noise Marines into the Blastmaster, which is similar to a Plasma Devastator. You can see it blasting right into that pile of Banshees, knocking them off the point and doing significant damage to the squad. One more direct hit and that squad will pretty much be toast. Luckily, they managed to get out of there just in time. And Rise really just locking down this central area here between the... Oh no, there's another shot right into a pile of Guardians. Took out a few of those there. And unfortunately, Soul Harvest just needs to get out here with all these forces and mount an offensive. Rise has gotten a nice flank in here with his Siege Marines and forcing that Bright Lance off of the field. Meanwhile, the Warp Spider's running out. Here he is, blinking around, still trying to decap some VPs, buying some more time, he's hoping, so he can try to push and break this central position. But with the Predator and the Noise Marines, that's going to be very difficult. You can see the Chaos Lord just was marching around here, knocking over cover, breaking that down, and knocking over the energy shields. Pretty good maneuver. There's no reason not to do that if you've got the time. Go ahead and break the cover. You see that with Sentinels, a lot of people move in and try to destroy all the cover on the enemy's side of the map there. Those Warp Spiders very close to the Heretics. I'm not sure if Soul Harvest sees them. He did. Oh, the other squad gets nailed. Direct hit from the Noise Marines, but unfortunately warping right in next to a Bloodletter. Soul Harvest just making some unfortunate warps right here. There goes one of the Haywire grenades, but I think that one Warp Spider squad's going to go down. Oh, there it goes. One last shot of the Predator. Took it out, putting Soul Harvest in a pretty bad position. There's the GG from him. A bit of an unfortunate ending there for Soul Harvest. Excellent play by Rise. You can see he really used the Bloodletter to his advantage. Managed to keep that alive despite the Warp Spider squads and the Bright Lance. And Soul Harvest just unfortunately not being able to take on the map as he would have liked. A lot of good plays and map control by Rise. You can see a Guru was about to come on the field. I'm sure that would have sealed the deal, even if Soul Harvest had managed to take that center point for a brief while. So, very excellent play by both sides. Soul Harvest just was unable to get his power back up there and keep up in the tech race, ultimately leading to his demise. Anyways, this is Red-Rupee. Hope you liked the game. I'll catch you guys next time.